our picture of me like that. All right, there we go. Now we're live. And let's give it a moment. All right. Actually, I'm going to put it on. I'm going to try something before, even though we're started and people are watching. I'm just going to drop it on Facebook too.
Okay.
Because we like the Facebook. Hello, everyone. We're just getting set up.
Yeah, I'm just battling through network of hell.
It's okay.
Thing is, I've got it at home and at work this week.
Oh, hey. Facebook now has a feature called Events on Facebook. So I wonder if we can use that event feature and you put the live calendar into Facebook.
Possibly.
As an event, so then it will actually.
Yeah, we could.
Let me try that. ASP.NET Community Stand-Up. This is a good idea. Love this website. Did such a nice job.
Thank you.
And where and at a time now. End time soon. Potential audience create. Please choose a category. Community, religious, learning, talk, create. Entertainment. There you go. I just posted an event. Lovely. You got to give me that that top bit there. The top. What do you call it? The background on your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll make that the background of the event photo.
That's in the GitHub repo.
All right. Cool. Everyone's seeing the setup here. Almost done, everyone.
Yeah.
We are here enjoying Damien, who is currently filming through a potato. What is wrong with your camera, Damien?
It's not my camera. It's the network here at work. We've been having intermittent network issues the last day. The bandwidth has crawled to a crawl.
Crawl to a crawl.
Crawl to a crawl. Yeah, isn't that one of those times when you start the phrase and then you realize you got it wrong?
Right. So you have consciously lowered your bandwidth right now.
I have consciously lowered my bandwidth because at trying to do it at the default level, I couldn't even like bring Twitter up in my browser, and I couldn't do the things I wanted to be able to do today. So, needless to say, we've been actively investigating some other ways to do this thing that we do every week. So we might try out some new things over the coming weeks to see whether some platforms work better than Hangouts. If you're watching through live.asp.net, which I hope you are, then it won't make any difference. You'll just sit there, and the iframe that gets embedded will just point somewhere else, and you won't know any different, and they'll all end up on YouTube anyway. But we're going to try some different things to see if we can't make this, as best as it, as good as it can possibly be.
Yep. No worries. Don't feel bad. Internet happens.
I bought a new router at home this week because the one I had, which I love, was intermittently freezing. So I ran down to Costco and bought another one. So now I have two. I have to return the other one and do all that type of rubbish. So I don't like not having network. It's really frustrating.
It's funny though. It is like water and power. It becomes a utility that you absolutely need.
Like that. It really is. So yeah.
So the plan is that in the next little. What's the plan with the live.asp.net website?
So I've been making incremental changes to it over the last week. I added some new features. So we've got when we're not streaming live and you can see the date and time of the next show, you can click on that now, and that's a webcal link, which, depending on what you've got set up to handle webcal, Outlook in my case, or you might be whatever else you have on your machine, you can add that to your calendar, which is kind of cool. We added a new background image yesterday to make it a little more varied. And it now does persistence, so when we save details, it goes to Azure Storage and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I fixed a caching bug thanks to App Insights, which let me figure out what was going on. So that was good. So the home page should be much faster now. But the big news is that I'm going to make it open source right now.
Ooh, that's cool. Are you going to do it right now through the?
I'm going to do it right now. I have the button right in front of me. Like, I don't think it's worth sharing my screen to watch me click a button.
No, that's okay. I'm going to go right now to GitHub/ASP.NET.
How do we do that? All right, you show your screen, and you
go. I'll do that right now. It's a great idea. So let me share that.
Incognito browser, and then I'll make it public.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen with one of my many screens. You tell me when you can see it.
Okay, I can see it.
Okay. So I see MVC and I see DNX and things like that.
Try going to /live.asp.net and you should get a 404, assuming you're not.
Okay. /live.asp.net.
You're signed in though.
Oh, let me not sign in. How do you not sign in with Edge?
I don't know.
New in private window.
There you go. It's the same as IE.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness.
Ready?
Okay.
So I need to type in the name of the repository to confirm, which I'm doing. And then I need to type in my password to double confirm.
Nice. Are you sure?
I'm really, and it'll probably ask me for a, all right, hit F5.
Okay. Star, push star.
It's a very small amount of
we already have one. We already have 1 star. We're winning already.
Oh, that's awesome.
Look at that.
11 people watching. That's probably just people from our org.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so this is the source code for the ASP.NET 5 based application that runs live.asp.NET. That was written in just a little bit of time by the very talented Damien Edwards. It includes the calls to YouTube. It includes Bootstrap and how we use Bootstrap. It also has some interesting authentication against Azure. And in a week or so, we're going to try to do what they call a Microsoft Virtual Academy. And we'll basically do a 100 level intro to MVC. Now, I want to make sure that the people who are listening are clear that this is very likely not for you all, right? The fact that you're listening to the ASP.NET Community Stand-Up indicates that you are not a 100 level developer. We're going to do 3 Microsoft Virtual Academies, hopefully, at 100, 200, and 300 levels over the next several months. The first one is going to be literally super, 0, 10 level basics. Hello, file, new project. But this is a great real live application. It's got user secrets. It's got web API calls. It's a good example, isn't it?
Yeah, and I did things like to do the web cal. I actually wrote my first ever output formatter. So it uses the web API features that are now part of MVC. And if you like, so you could open it up. If you go into the source folder there, source live ASP.NET, and you go into the formatters folder.
Okay.
And you'll see there's an iCalendar output formatter.
Oh, look at that.
So like my action method just returns a type. It returns a live sheet show details object. And then this code turns that into, you can go all the way to the bottom, turns it into the actual blob of text that people recognize as iCal.
Right. And this is a really nice example of how to do stuff like this. Now, you made it an output formatter. I might have been a little more ignorant about that, and I might have just made a GET request that returned a string result from a web API.
Well, see, if you were doing it sort of the MVC way, that's what you would just do, right? You would just return an action result that was a string. Yeah. And you would write it out. But the web API way to do it is to have your action method just return a plain old object, like what the actual result is, and then let the content negotiation and formatters feature figure out how to kind of serialize it into the response that the client wants. And then, so if you go to the controller, you can actually see the API that you use at the controller level to decorate that action and sort of tell the system, or so go to the home controller, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see the method, the get iCal method, I think it's called.
All right.
There it is. So you can see it says it produces text/calendar. Look
at that.
So it's informing the system of the media type that this method returns, which gives it a hint on what type of formatter to use on the way out. The actual, and it's really simple because all I'm doing is calling my service saying, get me the live show details in return. If that happens to be null because there's no show details at the moment, then web API/MVC will just go, oh, there's no response, and automatically give you a 204. So there's kind of some baked-in stuff, and then you can run your output formatter in the case that you have extra stuff to do.
And this is a better way to do it than what I was describing?
This is the more web API way of doing it. It's a little more explicit. I mean, if you did it the MVC way, you may as well just write a handler, right? Like if you just do it by returning an action result that just writes out text, you haven't really used the framework, right? You could have just written a handler that writes out text at that point. All you really did was let routing select an action method for you. This is sort of utilizing more of the features. Now, I could have done it that way, and it would be just as valid for this scenario because I'm not even relying on content negotiation. It's not like I'm returning different results for different clients, but this is a good way. It's a good opportunity to demonstrate the features that we have, and I'd never written an output formatter because I haven't done much web API, so it was a good chance to do it.
So that's the kind of thing where we just spent about a minute and a half talking about it, but during the Microsoft Virtual Academy, we'll really talk about it for a half an hour and about like the why and the how, and is it a matter of using the framework, or what happens if you want PDFs, or what if you want RSS, or 3 different formatting options for a particular kind of a resource.
Exactly. And
what does this mean in a larger RESTful service?
Yeah, in MVC, you could just do that kind of the manual way by having different methods. Or you could have one method and then have different, maybe filters, action filters that transform the result. But the web API way is to use content negotiation and formatters and do that as part of the pipeline on the way out. So.
Right. And then during our virtual academy, because it's going to be 100 level, this is going to assume that a lot of people aren't familiar with the way new things work. So we'll be able to show, C#6 isms, not teaching it to you all who are listening, who know this stuff already, but to new people who just will know that this has always been that way, right?
Right.
You've always been able to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, we keep saying it's not for the people who are watching now, but I imagine that...
I'm just teasing.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because, I mean, the reality is, like, we're all coming to ASP.NET 5, even myself, with the baggage of the previous 15 years of context. And I still find myself, even writing this site, trying to do things. I go down and spend 2 minutes trying to do something, and then I go, oh, wait, it doesn't work like that anymore. I have to do it this way. And why? So I think, there's often value in just putting your existing knowledge aside and put it in a box and then sit and drink it up and absorb it as if you were someone who was completely new. And then once you've done that, you can merge that, take your knowledge out of the box again and merge that with what you understand. So I don't want to dissuade people from watching the MVA, even if we're targeting that, you know nothing, let's build a site using ASP.NET 5, because I think we've changed so much that I think it'll be valuable for everybody.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think everyone should watch it. They should be aware that it's going to be very, very detailed at a 100 level.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Anything else interesting going on?
No, so we're working on Beta 7. What are we in the second week of Beta 7 coding, I think, right now. So that's going on. There's a bunch of work, and people can go and see on GitHub what we're doing in terms of Beta 7. There may be a slight delay to the actual release of Beta 7, because Beta 7, we're trying to make focusing on cross-platform a lot this release. There's some work that's required to make those scenarios work from other teams, partner teams, like the .NET team. And they may need a little more time to make some of those things work that we really, really want to get in. And so what we may end up doing is delaying Beta 7 by about a week. We'll continue to we'll start working on Beta 8, but we'll have a little bit more lead time so that the partner teams can get their work done, and then we can merge that in and get Beta 7 out and make it a good cross-platform release so we actually light up new scenarios cross-platform that we haven't yet. So just wanted to give people a heads up on that. Other than that, I jumped on the Smurf Lab again today, and we started doing a little bit some look at some recent changes that we made in Kestrel. We actually uncovered some bugs, so that's good. We were leaking connections in Kestrel at the moment, so we've just discovered that about 2 hours ago, which is explaining a few of the issues we were seeing during the performance run, so we're looking at that. And we also discovered that the way that we're doing buffering in Kestrel, which is one of the features we added just recently, is not super optimized for the pipelining that happens during the benchmarks that we do. And so we're suffering from the TCP ACK delay feature, which is actually making the benchmark run very, very slow when we run at a pipeline depth of, I think it's 16, which is what the Tech and Power benchmarks do. So we've got to investigate that as well and figure out how we can improve the buffering algorithm and the way we do that so we don't suffer from this client delay, which happens. Because it drastically reduces the results. Like you go from 100,000 requests a second to like 50. So which isn't good. So we're trying to fix that. What else? We've got some people out on leave because it's summer, so we're having some people come back soon, which will be good. I mean, some things have been put on hold until they come back, as is always the way. What else is going on? I'm trying to think of other interesting.
I'm reminding people who just joined that this is not an ad for Minecraft, as Madhu just commented on Twitter. In fact, it's Damien filming through a piece of wax paper. He's having some bandwidth issues, so we've just throttled Damien's bandwidth. So if you feel the need to look at someone and
really close.
Look at me and hide. There you go.
There we go.
This is you on a quick cam, a Logitech quick cam from 1996.
The original black and white one that plugged into the parallel port.
There you go. Shoving it back up the parallel port.
I had one
of the days, man.
I had one of those.
160 by 160.
Yeah, they were the days. And then Intel came out with MMX, and we were all dreaming of doing, 320 by 240 at 25 frames a second. Woohoo!
Yep.
Over our dollar modems. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
we should have thought though to make it a Minecraft marketing stunt, and we do the whole thing as voxels, but afraid not.
Never mind. So that's the things that are coming to the top of mind right now.
Let me share my screen again, because Mayuri, she sent me a note that we're hiring.
Yes. So
I wanted to bring up this here. The valuable number for you all to look at is here in the job number 924144.
If people are interested, though, I'd encourage them to reach out to us directly rather than.
Yeah. If you're interested, we'll find you a way, then we'll put you into the system.
Specifically, these jobs are on the web tooling team. So this is the team that sits in the next office, like through the TV that I'm looking at right now, the next one over. And that's the team that Mads Christensen works on, and Syed Hashimi, and they build all of the tooling in Visual Studio for ASP.NET 5.
Yes.
The HTML editor and the JavaScript, parts of the JavaScript editor and the CSS editor and all that type of stuff. And so they have open positions, which we'd love to get filled so we can get great web tooling to you quicker. So we need people.
Yep. So we need people. Now, I say this as a remote. Unfortunately, these particular ones do require you to move. But of course, Microsoft's really good at moving people, and you moved here. You made it okay.
From Australia, yep.
So things can be worked out. So check that one out. That, as Damien said, reach out to either he or I on Twitter. We'll plug you in. And that particular job number is 924144. But of course, if you dig around on careers.microsoft.com, you'll find other jobs that are also open.
Absolutely.
And we're looking for Linux people too. Is that true?
Yes. Anytime. So we just had a new PM join my team. He was an intern last year, and he's now just joined us full time. So he'll be looking at some of the Linux stuff. So one of the things he's looking at now is researching prescriptive guidance for setting up web server deployments in Linux and how ASP.NET 5 will fit into that, and Kestrel. So that's the things he'll be doing. But Linux skills is obviously something that we would value fairly high right now in any of these type of positions. So we'd love to get more and more Linux talent in here. That would be great.
Cool.
So should we answer a couple of questions? A couple coming in.
Let's do it. So Q&A says, Luke says, discuss with Elon detecting unused dependencies in project.json. Says it's very hard to do.
Yes, that is incredibly difficult to do. So that concept is kind of like trimming dependencies. Which of the things in my project.json do I not need because I'm not using them? That's a great suggestion. We'd love to be able to do something like that. I imagine we could probably do something along the lines of a Roslyn analyzer in Visual Studio. Might be a lot harder for us to do it as part of sort of the command line experience, although possible. I don't have anything on the backlog for that specifically right now. I'm trying to think what the equivalent sort of in existing .NET is today. I'm not sure if ReSharper has a feature like this already. It might do.
But it's known that it is hard, though. It's
known that it is hard. It's a lot harder than doing the opposite, which is detecting that you're missing a dependency and offering suggestions that will satisfy the problem that you're having. But detecting that you are depending on something that you don't actually call, because you could be calling it using late binding, right? You could be calling it using reflection. And there is practically no way for us to know that unless we run your app and then we see the module get loaded while the app is running, or we start getting down to analyzing reflection calls and all the possible ways that you could possibly force that assembly to get loaded into your project, and then figure it out via static analysis that way. But that's nigh on impossible to get that 100% correct.
Some people are suggesting that next time that you have such bad bandwidth, we should just use ASCII art or ANSI. Maybe add in some Mario.
Mario. I would more than happily sit here with my NES and just play Mario for everyone.
I know you would. You would play Smash Brothers though.
I actually enjoy Mario more than Smash Brothers. Taylor,
really?
The ones who play Smash Brothers. If I had my way, we'd play Mario Kart every time.
Oh, okay. The new one, by the way, the new Wii U Mario Kart is pretty amazing.
That's the one that we play, Mario Kart.
That's the only. It's not even a Wii. The Wii U isn't a useful console. It's crap, but it is a great Mario Kart console. It plays one game.
The Wii U has great games, though. That's the thing. It has games that are actually fun. Smash and the Mario games, like Mario 3D World and the Super Mario Brothers Wii U, and they're great games. But anyway.
Yep. So questions. Do you have any plans on ASP.NET with Docker containers? Yes, Dan Wallin, we do. It's up on Docker already, and it's being managed by Amit Balkan, and we're going to definitely have an official container.
Yep, we definitely will support that. The Docker tooling for Visual Studio, which is currently in preview, we will integrate. That's already integrated with the ASP.NET 5 publish dialog, so you can publish to Docker from ASP.NET 5 and VS. And we don't just care about publish, we also care about dev time scenarios, because we know developers are increasingly using Docker as part of development. And so I envisage a future where in your ASP.NET 5 app in VS, when you hit F5, it actually wraps it up, deploys it to a Docker image inside, say, a Linux VM, or inside a Windows Docker container if you're running Windows 10, or onto a remote Linux machine, and then does remote debugging. Like, all those things are being considered, and at some point we will support those.
Got it. So you can play around with that stuff in the next little bit. I believe that they're going to have a refresh of the Docker extension for Visual Studio this month.
Right.
This is a preview, but you can take a look at that if you want, and that'll enable that right-click publish support.
And I think the actual Docker container that we have is actually in our GitHub repo. I think it's at github.com/ASP.NET/Docker or something.
Yep, cool. So if there's people who have expertise in Docker, I'm sure Amit would be and Dan Fernandez would appreciate help on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and to be clear, like, our team will be owning that moving forward as well, specifically like maintaining our container image and all that type of stuff.
Yep. Will OAuth authorization server be ported from Katana?
My understanding is the current plan is we are talking to partners to see if we can have a partner build and support the OAuth server for ASP.NET 5. That's my current understanding. Dan Roth has been following up on that. I can certainly follow up and report back next week. But my current understanding is, rather than us porting the code that we have in Katana, there is an identity server that's out there that was better than ours anyway. And so we're working with the partner to try and get them to port that to ASP.NET 5.
Okay. Is it possible to use ASP.NET 5, Beta 6, or 7 with other ORMs like Hibernate?
It is possible if you target ASP.NET 5 on top of DNX 451, the full framework, full .NET, then any of those other ORMs should just work, in air quotes. If it's just a .NET framework library, if it just requires a .NET framework, it should just work. If you want to run on top of .NET Core, then that ORM you use needs to run on .NET Core. So if they haven't done that work yet, then it won't work. But you can check with them, and obviously we are checking with them as well to try and get them up to speed. They will have a better time of it if they've previously done the work to have their ORM run on top of one of the portable profiles, or perhaps Silverlight, because those sort of API surfaces at least get them some way towards running on top of .NET Core.
Okay, cool. Question about native ADO.NET support.
Question is when. I do believe it is coming, and the folks from the EF team have been driving that. I'm not 100% sure on when that is, but I can follow up with Rowan and see if he can give me some details on that.
Yep. Okay. And then updates on benchmarks. You talked a little bit about benchmarks already, and you're spending time at the Smurf Lab.
Spending time in the Smurf Lab. We have the benchmarks repo has a plain text benchmark, a JSON benchmark, just using raw middleware. And then it also has the same two again in MVC. And then it has a special MVC only sort of view benchmark, which just runs through the Razor pipeline and prints hello world. They're the 5 that we're kind of running and building up our our process around right now. And the idea is that we will mature our process around running the test, capturing results, reporting the results, analyzing the results, making improvements, and then running again. And my hope is that what we'll get to is some type of weekly cadence where we run all of our tests every week with the latest changes, and then we publish them into the repo in, say, an Excel spreadsheet or something, so that we can get nice graphs and see progress over time. And then once we get that process mature, we'll start adding more benchmarks that are in line with what you see in Tech and Power. So we'll add a single query database benchmark. We'll add a multiple query database benchmark. We'll add an update query benchmark. And then we'll add sort of the mother of all benchmarks, which is their Fusion benchmark, which does kind of everything. It does templating, it does databases, it does updates, it does all types of stuff.
A question just rolled in at the last second here. Isn't native ADO.NET overlaying data common?
So the data common stuff, as I understand it, I believe that is coming in. Again, I'll have to check with the EF team because they've been driving that. But that is what I consider, like when someone says native ADO.NET, that's what I assume they mean. There's all the stuff in system.data.com, and I'm assuming that's what they mean. So
okay, cool. All right, excellent job streaming from your phone.
Yeah, well, I think the phone probably would have been better, actually.
I think it would actually. As we end, would you mind taking the bandwidth slider just maybe up to medium for the zoom out?
It is now at medium.
All right, let's have a medium dramatic zoom out.
Dramatic zoom out. Okay.
All right.
Shall I give it enough time to buffer?
Yeah, I think it's good. I can see you. It's low frame rate, but it's good. Dun, 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 dun. Bye.
Bye.